to say, what's the value? The value is if we don't give them the information that they need, they're going to research online. And I can guarantee you, everything that you were supposed to say is already there. You're giving them a reason not to buy from you.
Sunwear is not something that your patient should be buying at a sporting goods store. You know your patient's needs, and it's imperative that you drive them toward products that optimize their life experiences. Renato Cappuccitti is an optical industry veteran who currently serves as VP for Bajío Sunglasses, and he and I speak about how to implement the proper dispensary approach to drive sunwear sales. This is the Think Again podcast. It seems to me that the overwhelming preponderance of patients who receive eye care at independent clinics are obtaining their sunwear products somewhere else. Perhaps it's poor positioning of the products in the eye clinic dispensary. Maybe it's just a misguided selling process. But I'm looking forward to learning more on how to get sunwear going in your practice. And with us, we've got Renato. Welcome again to the Think Again podcast.
Thank you, Scott. Pleasure to be here with you.
Is my inclination correct? Do you have any insights to suggest that too few patients get their sunwear from their doctor's office?
I would tend to agree with that, absolutely. And not just from what I think, but from what I see and what I know. I've done this. I happen to specialize in somewhere now, but I've been in the optics industry for 35 years. But right now, sun is our passion, and it's a huge opportunity, and it's a huge missed opportunity
Yeah.
for many.
So,
So
so
I think
what's
what you're talking about is essential.
right? So, what's the right way to place or position sun products in the dispensary? I remember people telling us, put it in a horizontal set of the selections across all frames in the men's and women's areas, amidst other collections. I've had people tell us build the cabinet sunwear only and have it be a feature place. What do you think works? What has the data shown that works from your perspective?
Yeah, I tend to sort of address that with what? Do you dabble in sun or are you serious about getting into sun? Because if you dabble, then I think placing them in a straight line across the boards, I see this often. I see this as a tactic, and it's really an old school tactic when, you know, um, not to definitely I say things and sometimes I don't want to insult people. I would call them, the tin cup glasses. And a lot of the frames today are the little sort of retro round square, which, we'll have 25 of a black square plastic frame. And that's the tin cup glasses that I say we can tint them and we can make them sunglasses. And the consumer is like, oh, that's how sunglasses are supposed to be made. To me, sunglasses are, I go to the department store and those are sunglasses. There's racks of them, right? So we've already pre-programmed people of how to shop. Why unprogram it? So this is where that's dabbling. And that's okay if you have a dedicated sun section because you're drawing a line to where you want to go. But if that's your sun solution, you're going to dabble. You're not going to get into sunglasses the way you want to because sunglasses in my world, it's about performance. And I think that people today shop for performance and for gear and for their activities differently than they shop for general use. Eyeglasses, they're there to get eyeglasses that they know I'm going to wear these for the next 2 years for 14 hours a day, right? It's my one thing. But when I go out, and we used to say, you know, what do you wear? Not when you're outdoors. We confuse things. The words are important. What do you do when you go outside? That's where the sun is. It's outside. When you say outdoors, they think outdoors hiking. It shifts the mindset. So, what do you do with your prescription when you go outside? And what do you do when you're outside? Let's talk about that. So, don't dabble. Get into a section. You can have not just one dedicated section. You can have displays of sun throughout, but it's a sun display, right? And a lot of times, manufacturers like us, we give you these displays. They're branded. So the branding is really important if you're getting into it. And a lot of manufacturers want to give you their displays with the branding. Of course, it keeps their product together. Some of them actually tell a story and provide POP and messaging that's important. But at the end of the day, don't just scatter it around. It has to be pick a number, and people sometimes get intimidated with it. That's a big investment. If 20% of your business or your inventory is not sunwear, then don't expect to ever get close to that number as a percentage of sales.
Well said. And thinking about how we think about how the sunglasses perform when we are not indoors is a great way to start thinking about how our staff should be developing their language. I, I want to use that to shift to non-prescription sunwear specifically. Um, you're right. The investment's a big deal. Not a lot of practices have a relationship with a vendor or two. Sometimes there's too big of a buy-in, so they do end up dabbling in non-RX. Can they make success out of non-RX by picking the right partner? I mean, I got to guess your answer is yes, but I want to know why.
Oh, I think it's first of all, I start with a simple question for everybody and saying like, what percentage of your business is contact lens wearers, right? That's a starting point. They're they're sunglass wearers. If you think that a contact lens wearer is not going to buy a sunglass somewhere, you're already in your store, in your dispensary, in your office. That's the best place to start and finish. So that's the starting point for Plano. Okay. And then I get the next ones is say, who are the candidates? So I always think about, when we always talk about understanding the customer's needs, understanding the customer habits. Um, being a somewhat emmetrope presbyope, I totally need a pair of prescription glasses, which I'm not wearing right now at this moment because I can function, anisommetropic. I can do well up close as well. And here I am, not wearing my glasses. Driving at night, I've got prescription progressives. I need to see the dashboard. I need to see the signs. But outdoors, that little bit of prescription, I like it. But there's times when I could probably do without, and think about those people that might get a minus 25, minus 50, access 90, and get a 250 ad. And they are the ones that are hard to convince to get into prescription progressives because they're going to say, oh my gosh, that's like a $500 to $1,000 investment. And I've already used my insurance. I'm not spending $1,000. If they're not going to, and there's nothing wrong with providing maybe one of two options, just get a Plano. Just get one. If you're not going to wear it in your prescription, and you're gonna let's be honest, are you just going to go buy sunglasses without your prescription? Because if you are, take a look at what we have to offer. We've got some of the best optics that you're not going to find everywhere, or you're going to go to the same places with the same prices. Because a lot of these performance sunglasses have MAP pricing that everyone's going to sell the same. And when they're with you, you can also bundle things in a way to make it seem more attractive from a price perspective, and not break the map rules, right? And then the other option is, and this is where I'll just share personal experience. We launched our brand and we said, because we manufacture in the US, um, we make a reader version, which is a backside bifocal. It's a flat top that's on the back, so you can put mirrors on the front. Nobody knows that you're wearing one. And they're readers with a 152 and 250 ad. And again, these are the people, they're very little low distance, and they're quite happy to wear that and say, I just need to see to tie a fly. I need to look at my phone. I want to do things. I don't want this obtrusive bottom part of the lens that makes me dizzy or whatever. I just need something down below to help me read. And if you don't think that's an opportunity, start looking at people walking around with sunglasses on their face and readers hanging around their neck. And that's the opportunity. They're everywhere. So the built-in bifocal is a huge opportunity. The best place to buy them is the doctor's office. It really is.
You made a really good point about talking about performance, and the whole discussion of a near ad is a discussion of performance. So when we sell these solutions to people, we the non-RX topic we just talked about, we want to have a selection that really matches a whole bunch of different value propositions to the patient. But in RX Sun, we could do everything and anything for them. And I think you hit on the topic. Some people are reluctant to get into RX Sun because the patients sense that it's just too much of a commitment financially. But they don't get optimal performance if they don't put their RX into a Sun RX. So tell us a little bit about that second pair. What's the guidance? Is it having just good systems in our practice to break down the barriers the patients bring from a financial perspective?
So I think you know where the end point is. You want to get to the best sunglass you can build. And you said it. We can do anything. And you have a lot of products, and you know your indoor progressive is different from your outside progressive. You know, the question we get often is, who makes your progressive? We're candid. We say it's a design, and here's the company that even designs it. Like, there's no secrets anymore. Transparency is so important, but it is very different from your indoor progressive. Now, to get to where you say, you know, creating value for the investment is to say, here's when I try to encourage people and say, it's going to be X and it has everything. People, if you've ever seen market research with the, and I've been part of this where we've said, what's the barrier to getting to the final solution? And people will comment and say, buying prescription glasses has the same sort of stress experience as buying a car. I'm in a I'm in a place where I know very little. I tend to feel like I'm an educated person, and most people are with access to everything at their fingertips. But when starting to present all these options and people want to talk about their optical knowledge often, and it's a lot for people to take in. It's almost too much. And saying, we've already decided what's going to be best and here's how much it's going to cost. And it can be X, Y, and Z, good, better, best. These are your three options. Keep it real simple. They spent a half hour with the doctor. They spent maybe 20, 30 minutes picking out their clear glasses, and they just don't want to do this again. And say, we've already got these three options. And if you're the weekend warrior and these are your activities or these are your hobbies, et cetera, your interests, for me, I know we're a polarized, high performance, patented lens technology company. We keep our pricing simple. We have two prices, the single vision price, the progressive price. We don't a la carte. We don't have a mirror coating add-on. We don't have a backside AR coating add-on. We don't build it from scratch. This is how we make a sunglass. Two prices, one and two. Whatever frame you pick, this is your price. Don't get caught up in the $10 nuance between frame styles. We say it's one price, and with what you do, then you present it with enthusiasm. Oh my God, you are going to absolutely love how this changes your life. And these are the words people need to hear. I'm going to share a story, and it's a story that we used to use in our training. I did a lot of continuing education presentations. Give credit to the person who told the story, Bob Bieber, from the, people might remember him as an amazing sales trainer. And he would tell the story of the individual that bought a car. And John went in to pick up his car. And the salesman said, John, you're going to love this car. Thank you so much for your business. We've got a full service department. We're here for you. If anything goes wrong, give us a call. I'm here. Handshake, out the door. The next person goes in to pick up their car. So it's Jane. And Jane goes to pick up her car. And salesperson says, Hey, Jane, I want to talk to you about a few things before you go home today. I remember when we were sitting down and you were making this purchase, you mentioned that you love golf with your friends. Just a reminder that this car, when your car's been sitting in the lot for after a 3-hour game, it's really hot. You push this button 2 times, you know all your windows are going to go down. You get that airflow. You don't want you and your friends to get into a hot car. So make sure you remember that. And I just want, like, just look, I want to just take a look inside the trunk. And I know you probably did this, but it's hard to remember everything. Look inside the truck. You can fit all 4 of those bags in this trunk. On top of that, don't ever think about, with all those people and all those bags, that engine has this 4-cylinder engine that does all this, and it gets you there fast with no effort. So don't think about having to have any sluggishness. It's fast and powerful. John goes home and his neighbor says, Hey, John, you got a new car? He goes, Yep. Nice. He says, Thank you. Jane goes home. Neighbor says, "Got a new car?" "Yeah, check this out." "Does your car do this? This button, windows go down, and oh my gosh, is it fast? I love it. It handles well." And you know what? Jeffrey told me all about, like, you need to buy a car, go see them. They're amazing. The purpose of this is to say, if you don't get word of mouth, and if you don't use words to create word of mouth, it's so hard to grow your business and to create stickiness with your patient. To say, what's the value? The value is, if we don't give them the information that they need, they're going to research online. And I can guarantee you, everything that you were supposed to say is already there. You're giving them a reason not to buy from you. You need to give them reasons to stay with you. And that's why the scripting and saying things and everybody doing it the same. And the end of the sale, the dispense of the product, is the most important time to remind them of the features and benefits. Not at the beginning, because you say, "Oh, I told them this." Because after I said everything that I said just now, try to repeat everything I did a week from now. We're going to forget. So I know I went a little off track on that, but to me, this is this is the opportunity of creating value for a $500, $600 out of pocket, no insurance coverage purchase. And it's once every 2 or 3 years, because you could skip a prescription with Sun. I'm honest with people and say, tell you what, when you come back in, you might need to get the prescription changed with your clear glasses, but sunglasses, quite often, you could skip a prescription. So when you invest in this, it could be with you for a little bit longer. So it's good to invest in something that's better.
Well, you didn't skip over anything. In fact, that's the mindset we need for a practice that's committed to sunwear sales. RX, Plano non RX. It's about having the right messaging and having the right value proposition. Any last thoughts before we're done about encouraging the audience to become more participatory in sunwear?
You mentioned about, people are thinking about the buy-ins being an issue, and it's an investment. It's not a buy-in. If you ever think that you made a bad choice, put it on clearance, it'll be gone and you make at least your money back. You never lose your investment. It always comes back. But if you do invest, invest the time, not just the money. Invest the time to become the expert. And once you're the expert, and that's and I'll just add one more thing in saying that just because you don't bike, hunt, fish, cycle, and do these things, it doesn't mean you can't be the expert on biking, cycling, fishing, and hunting, because those people that come in, they're your patients. They expect that from you to say, I need to know what's best for trying to pick out a deer at 200 yards in the fall. If maybe hunting's not the best analogy for everybody, but to say any of these things. I like to ride my bike. I like to play tennis. And, you know, also the biggest craze right now, pickleball. There's a lens for everything. There really is.
And our teams know it better than the staff at Dick's Sporting Goods or Macy's. So I appreciate the
Yes.
encouragement. Renato Cappuccitti, thank you for being our guest on today's Think Again podcast.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
That's it for today's Think Again podcast, brought to you by GPN Visions, a peer to peer learning community to help grow your eye care business.